نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained Muslims to pray 5 times a day. And Allah mentioned in the Quran, Inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has obligated upon believers 5 prayers at appointed times. And that is categorical in Quran, and there's no two meanings to it, which is that we are supposed to pray 5 times a day and at the appointed time, not before or after. Now, there are certain hadith which suggest as though Rasulullah or the companion would pray certain prayers together. So that's one issue. On the other hand, this is categorical that for traveler there is change in the law, which is to pray qasr prayer, which is shortened prayer, and that is based in Quran and also Sunnah of Rasulullah many hadith, and there is no disagreement on that. That when someone is traveling for a Shari'i travel, which is about 3 days worth of journey in a camel, and that turns out to be roughly 48 miles or 54 miles, depending on which side you lean on, caution or a bit more lenient. So 54 miles, just for example, if someone is traveling there for 54 or more miles from their home, then they would be qualified as traveler, provided they have got a limit to the number of days they are going to spend outside of this city or town, wherever they live. Now that number is not agreed upon either, which means some of the Imams would say it is 3 days, some say it is 14 days, some say it is more than 14, 19 days. And these are all based on hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it is just the way scholars interpreted it. So it is not because there is a categorical hadith to say you are a traveler for that many days. No, it was just that they saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam shortening, and yet he spent that many days here or there. And based on that, some included these days plus these days and these days, and others don't seems to be doing it. So it all depends on how you look at things, and they all have the valid reasons, and scholars have then presented those and then given their rebuttals to it. And then finally you would find the imam, the scholars would then have a view based on their understanding, and their followers out of the 4 schools, they would just continue to follow their schools. So the bottom line is, it can never be finalized here, because this is not categorical how many days you are allowed to be a traveler for. So every school has their own very good reasons behind it, mashallah, and we should just stick to the school. And that highlights the point that one cannot choose and opt between schools. You cannot switch from here to there, and that is what you are following, your whims and desires. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has categorically prohibited in Quran. أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you not seen the one who has taken his whims and desires as the Lord, as his Lord? And obviously we can't do that. This is called talahi, tashahi, tatabu'i rukhas, and all those sort of bad ideas, diseases of the heart. So we shouldn't be going that way. That is why it's extremely important in the matters of legitimate differences of opinion to just stick to one school. Otherwise you would either be more knowledgeable than the imams of the past and the present, who are followed by thousands and thousands of scholars, not talking about common men, or you are completely a simple common man with a lot of arrogance and the fact that you feel that you know better than them. So obviously this is a way of destruction, like shaitanic way, and that is Adami way, where you just submit and say, you know what, I would rather stick to the school because I don't know better. Yes, there are certain hadiths which one can present to me, but are they really the only hadith on the subject, or could there be many more available? Now, am I going to know all of them? Don't know. Is that what exactly the hadith mean? Is that what was the understanding of Sahaba? Have they all agreed on this? What was the counter argument to this? It is extremely impossible for a layman to know it. Almost impossible. Unless they spend months on studying those things on one issue only. So, and we don't have time for that, and we do not have capacity with regards to the fact that we haven't gone to the basic understanding of the subject. It's like, reading upon a disease. As a doctor who has gone through some serious studies for many years, it's easy to understand COVID and its related, issues, complications. Now, you might have seen many around you in the community, read about those from the media, listen to so many talks here and there. I put it to you, just go and read and do your research for next whole month and come back to me and say, you know what, I know exactly what COVID is, then I would salute you and make you my teacher, sheikh, and would do bay'ah to you. And I know it is something that you would dare even do that because you know the limitation. But when it comes to Sharia, everyone is the boss. Everyone is independent, mujtahid, and they can do whatever they feel they can do. But anyway, so that's the problem. So we should be sticking to the school. So from that angle, you need to know. Well, I need to know which school you follow, but I can tell you that I follow Hanafi school. But if you want me to tell you about some other school, I can tell you, inshallah ta'ala. But I'm not gonna expand this any further, other than the fact that according to Hanafi school, it is 14 days that you're counted as a traveler. So when you're traveling for 14 days or less to a city, to a country, wherever, away from your living place, your habitat, for more than 54, or if you want to be a little bit lenient, 48 miles. So 48 miles is the standard, but 54 miles is a bit cautious. So some would suggest go to 54 miles. And this is all dependent on the way they measured it anyway. So what do you do? According to Hanafi school, it is wajib to then shorten your prayer, and you can only shorten your fard, and only three of the five faraid, which are four Dhuhr, four Asr, and four Isha, you make them two. Rest stay the way they are, means three Maghrib and two Fajr. You don't cut short them. Do you combine them? In Hanafi school, it is completely impossible and impermissible to combine them, because one or two hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 4 or 5 or 10 hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which suggests that he actually combined prayers, that was all apparent combining, not a true combining. Apparent combining or virtual combining means that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed during the travel. As you could imagine, they used to travel long journeys. They would have to go long distance away, and to get off their caravans, camels, find water, get everything settled down, and then pray, and then go again. So you can't do that every so often between prayers. So you do it now, and then 2 hours later you have to do that again. 2 hours later, you can't do that. That was a bit difficult. So what they used to do, they used to do apparent combining, whereby at the time when Asr is about to start, say half an hour or an hour is about in about an hour and a half, an hour, whatever, based on the assessment, they would alight. They would get the animals rest, get water, spread their prayer mat, perform their wudu, adhan, dhuhr. The minute they completed their dhuhr, few minutes later maybe, because they have to just do two, they had to do two, yeah, as a traveler. And then finished it. A few minutes later, after their adhkar, tasbihat, if they have time, some extra nafil, some extra whatever. And lo and behold, it's time for Asr. Let's do the second adhan. And time for Asr started. At the earliest time, another adhan, another iqama, let's do Asr, and they've done within an hour or so, both of the prayers are done, and let's just move on. And they would move on. And that was practically the best solution. And this is how Hanafis would explain all the hadith of combining. It was apparent combining, yet the prayers were performed within their times. That was at the end of the time during the travel, and that was at the beginning of the time, where the time meets. Not that Dhuhr was done at Asr time or Asr was done at Dhuhr time. This is only permissible in Hajj. That's it. according to Hanafi school. What they say, because for one, this is the way. The second, Quran is categorical. We are prescribed with 5 prayers, not 3, not 2. And that is why you would never find any of the Imams saying that you can combine your Fajr and Dhuhr. No one would ever say that you can combine your Isha and Fajr. And no one would ever say you can combine Maghrib and Dhuhr. Why do you have to all three? Why can't we combine more than two? Why can't we combine any of the other two? Because these are the only one. And that is why there was, and likewise when Rasulullah ﷺ combined the prayer without a reason in Medina, without any fear of enemy, of the rain or sickness, he combined once. This is one of the hadiths that Imam Tirmidhi rahmatullah would say, no one acted upon this hadith, but we say to him with due respect, actually Hanafis do act upon this hadith because this was apparent combining, and we still think that we can combine if there was a reason. Even if there was no reason, sometime it is permissible, although disliked, because you're delaying your first prayer to quite late time for no reason. It is disliked, but not haram. You're still praying within the time. Sayyidina Jibreel, when he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, first day after Mi'raj and the second day, he prayed all the prayers at the earliest time, next day all at the latest time, and he said prayers are between these two times. So there's no way we can, based on one or two hadiths, change this ruling. And even when those hadiths are the Sahih hadith, and they are Sahih hadith, Alhamdulillah, they can be interpreted in the way as Imam Abu Hanifa and some of the Sahaba understood, and inshallah ta'ala that is the safest view. Even those who say that it is permissible to combine, it is only, according to them, a valid view, a permissible thing, not a must. You don't have to combine on travel. And likewise, we don't have that much trouble in traveling these days anyway, do you? I mean, how much tiredness you get, how much trouble you get of not accessing water. In fact, it is much more desirable due to the nature of the travel these days. One should alight after every 2-3 hours. As a doctor, I can tell you, you should rather take breaks after 2 hours, 3 hours of your journey anyway. If you didn't, there's a chances of having some DVTs, which is deep vein thrombosis, the clots in the legs, and they may travel to the lungs. And this is what one of my areas of interest is. So you get clots. So it's much more recommended that you should take break every 2 hours or so anyway. So that makes it very easy and practical, inshallah ta'ala. So the summary is, you would combine if you're traveling, but if you want to combine, you can only combine apparently. You would do qasr regardless. You have to do qasr for the four prayer to two, unless you are praying behind imam, in which case you would do all four because you're following imam in the masjid. If you're leading, you just do two. The followers would complete their extra two. You announce it. I hope I've clarified some of that. Jazakallahu khairah.